Now, really important sector that I don't think we have talked about enough, and for all of the conversations that there have been about schools, there has not been enough of a chat about childcare. We know how vital childcare is around Australia. We are certainly very aware that there's a lot of private businesses that, frankly, they need those full centres to be able to keep going. If they collapse, fewer operators means higher prices and fewer places for kids to be able to be put into that childcare when people start to return to work. That's really important here. If coronavirus forces childcare services to close for good, parents will be left stranded. Piece in The Guardian today. I like this here. Anna Whitty's from Northside Community Services and says, as a provider of early education, we have never had to deal with a crisis like this. Families are concerned, understandably. They've been ending their children's enrolments and keeping them at home. This has had an immediate effect and a direct impact on our financial situation, which will only continue to get worse. Richo, I'm not suggesting bailouts, etc., at this point in time, but there are all sorts of conversations about maybe the way to keep the sector going is the childcare rebates that people would have been getting if their kids were there to maybe send those directly to the centres if they can show enrolments from a month ago. That way it doesn't cost anyone an extra $1.
Well, look, I mean, I think that anything like that's fine. In an era where you've got a Liberal government, and I'm agreeing with them, so this isn't a criticism, throwing money at workers everywhere because we're in all sorts of trouble, obviously you've got to keep that sector going. The childcare sector is incredibly important. And so as far as I'm concerned, that's a whatever it takes situation. Whatever you need to do, you do to keep it going. And I'm sure that ScoMo is well and truly prepared for that. We need to be. He's got young kids. I think he understands this problem really well.
Yeah, Rowan, to me it seems like a flexible situation that doesn't cost $1 more, where rather than the subsidy going to the parent, the subsidy goes to the centre. It's a partial payment, but it still means they're able to hold people on top of that $1,500 payment that people heard today. I think we need to be flexible because, look, obviously I've got a 2-year-old. I am very aware of the childcare system.
Paul, I'm always proud to say that I agree 100% with Richo. He's a very astute individual. He wrote a fantastic column in The Australian today, full of perceptive insights, which I won't run through now, but there are many, many of them. Oh. I would urge people to read it. That having been said, when you talk about childcare, we still, I agree with what you're saying there, Paul, but if we look, part of the problem is we have reached a point where childcare, under the Gillard government, it became much bigger, a lot of red tape around it, salaries went up, wages went up. It's become a thing that, in the past, you might have had the neighbour might have offered to look after the kids for a bit of money. You might have had, a family friend said, I'll take the kids. And that all went out the window because it became so difficult. I think the regulations around who you can employ, and there are obvious, correct concerns about, obviously not letting the wrong sort of person anywhere near your kids. But I think throughout the next 6 months, we're probably going to see a little bit more of a return to that, with hopefully neighbours and friends and family helping each other out a little bit more in that situation. I just say that as an addition to what you were saying beforehand.
Well, and I think it's that thing. I mean, look, the building blocks on this are that $1,500 payment that is, of course, going to apply to all of the workers inside those childcare centres. And look, I'm very well informed that there's going to be some steps that will come along these lines in the next couple of days, potentially by the end of the week. So watch this space. Quick break, back with more, including I've got to show you a video.